School counselors of Reddit, what is your job really like? Not me, but one of my friends was a school social worker. Her job consists of mediating students who are not getting along, providing support to students that were struggling either academically, socially, personally, and facilitating group bonding activities from students. Till there are no school counselors on Reddit. I'm currently in a master's program to become a school counselor. Your role in a school really depends on what age level you're working with. Elementary school counselors do much more classroom lessons where they can reach more students. High school counselors do more scheduling and college career readiness. Across all grade levels though, school counselors are there to support students with academic or socio-emotional issues. There are many factors that hinder the effectiveness of a school counselor. Many schools give them additional tasks that are not in their job description, like coordinating state standardized tests and having them discipline students, which can destroy rapport. The American School Counseling Association, ASCA, recommends that the student to counselor ratio be 250:1 in order for the counselor to be most effective. Some schools have over 600 kids for one school counselor. In short, school counselors are there to support students in any way that they can. But their job is not easy. If more people understood their role, maybe we could get more school counselors in schools. I always felt for our school counselor kids would feign an issue to get out of a certain class they hated. School counselor here. I work mostly on the college counseling side now with 11th and 12th graders, but am trained as a school counselor. I'm a little biased, but school counselors are the superheroes of a school setting in many cases. They take on many tasks both within and tangential to their job description, including individual meetings with students to review and work on their academic goals, problem-solving skills, and social-emotional challenges, group facilitation for small groups that tackle common areas for improvement, including study skills, friendship, family problems, grief, anger management, etc. On the high school side, many school counselors are responsible for all the logistical and non-logistical facilitation of the college process, applications, financial aid assistance, family meetings, college selection, post-secondary planning for students not attending college, emotional preparation for the college transition, etc. Advocating for students in IEP meetings, family meetings, meetings with DCF, etc. Liaising with teachers and administrators to develop and implement academic plans for students struggling with their coursework, and many more responsibilities that make up their typical day-to-day. School counselors also often serve students in crisis. But ideally, if a school's social-emotional supports are functioning perfectly, this would be a small component of a school counselor's role. We are trained to serve students in a short-term capacity. And for students who are suffering severe mental health challenges or are facing social-emotional issues that require long-term care, we may refer out. On top of all these things, school counselors are often tasked with many non-counseling related responsibilities, including organizing and proctoring standardized tests, lunch and transitional duty, after-school coaching or program leadership, organizing field trips and college visits as well as in-school events, classroom teaching, literacy work, etc. The reason I think they are superheroes is because they attempt, at least, to execute all this work through a strengths-based lens that really lifts up the stories and voices of all of the young people with whom they work. We are so privileged to be able to observe firsthand the incredible growth that happens in schools. And if we do our job right, we are often people students remember throughout their post-secondary years and beyond. I'm a little late to this thread, but my mom is a high school counselor and boy does she work. She spends a lot of her time at the end of each semester creating schedules for her students next semester. She works at one of the smaller schools in our county, but she still has to create roughly 220 schedules a semester. She also spends a lot of time meeting with students having personal issues and doing what she can to help. She recently received a grant to train a therapy dog that she takes to school with her daily to help students who are having meltdowns in her office. Aside from that, she runs a number of clubs such as NHS and for a while, the jazz band, and teaches a Good Beginnings class. Good Beginnings is a program that helps pregnant high school girls prepare for motherhood and provides them with a support community so they don't have to face the difficulties of teen pregnancy alone. She helps plan and run a majority of the school's ceremonies and created a character development program that won her a few awards. She also runs a Facebook page that posts scholarship opportunities for high school seniors. Outside of school, she will often take responsibility for struggling students. The amount of extra siblings she's brought home over the years to help out is incredible. We even fostered one of her students for 6 months when she fell on hard times. I've been out of the house for a while now, so there are definitely things I'm missing here. But what she does for her students is incredible. School counselors often get a bad rap, which is really quite sad. I've never met anyone who works as hard as my mom does for her students. So if you get the chance, thank you counselors for all the hard work they put in. Chances are, they don't hear it enough. Not exactly a counselor, but at a primary school I took the children who had more difficulty learning aside every week or so. Quad prods to get some information about home life. How have you been sleeping? But I never had anything serious to deal with. But lots of little things between kids would spark something big enough for me to have a conversation. But even if I didn't, they calmed down soon enough anyway. I don't know, they were very forgiving to one another, especially when they could find someone else to side against, usually me. But yeah, the gig turned out to mostly getting the kids to do catch-up worksheets on the same stuff their classmates were doing. But in like a 1-on-5 setting, so I could be more attentive. Upvoted and commenting because I really want to know. In elementary school, my counselor would take all the kids with divorced parents out of class for special lessons. We had to draw each parent's house and talk about our feelings or whatever. She also did awesome puppet shows maybe twice a year. Middle school, I only saw the counselor once when I got expelled and once when I got to my new school. High school, they are actually super supportive, and at least for my school you could go see them any time of the day and get help with test scores, college, finances, social issues, home issues. It was basically free therapy. Some great answers here already, but from your typical American school. Elementary school. If the school district is progressive enough to have counselors, you are essentially an assistant principal, special education teacher, counselor, social worker, or any hat you need to wear that day. Running lunch groups, coordinating 504 plans, IEPs, preparing kids for middle school, working on social interactions, and really anything to fill in the gaps for what these children are not getting at home. Middle school, 504s, IEPs, behavior interventions, peer mediations, planning for high school, college and career planning exploration, severe mental health concerns, for example, cutting, depression, anxiety, again, wearing whatever hat you need to that day. High school, in most school districts, planning high school schedules, college planning, paperwork, and more paperwork. Some schools are starting to take the scheduling aspect out of the job, but most are heavy in the standard guidance counselor job description. School counselors are one of the most underutilized parts of a school, and teachers administrators misunderstand what they should be using them for. TLDR, most schools are starting to move away from the guidance counselor model of the guy or gal that sits in their office all day doing schedules and coaching sports teams, to moving to a school counseling model of actually providing students with time to meet one-on-one or in groups to talk and work out problems in their lives. High school counselors are heavy on paperwork for college. I am currently in my master's program working as a school social worker. My job usually consists of collaborating with the administration, principal guidance counselors etc. to find out what kinds of programs or events we will have and who will be inviting to the school. After those meetings are done, I meet with students either in a group or individually for counseling. Most of them are struggling in school, whether it be because of an issue at home, school or mental health, and we work on bringing them to a level where they are ready to learn and engage in the classroom. We usually meet and talk about video games or sports or other hobbies and eventually trail into some deeper issues. Sometimes it gets boring and repetitive, but other times I am so impressed by what many of these students have to say. Every so often I have to deal with some drama or issue that gets annoying, but most of the time I am always excited to see these students and hear about their lives and try to come up with solutions to help them when they need. We had counselors in my high school, but I honestly didn't know they were also there to help you with your mental emotional welfare until the end of my senior year, when they had us rate them and their services. I thought they only processed transcripts and dealt with academic issues like setting you up for summer school if you failed a class or something. Currently have 1 year left for my Masters of Ed Psych degree, school counseling. But during our master program we also have to work in a practicum and an internship in the schools. As a school counselor, our main responsibilities are as follows. Guidance curriculum. This is where the counselors go around to each class and present a lesson plan to every student. Usually ranges from college and career readiness, bullying, navigating middle school, etc. Individual planning. Each student meets with their counselor over the course of the school year to discuss where they are academically and to plan ahead for the future. Responsive services. This is one of the more common responsibilities of a counselor. Here we are dealing with the everyday occurrences within the school, bullying, disruptive students, fights, etc. Essentially, we are there to put out fires. System support. This is where we attending training seminars and PBIS meetings, positive behavioral intervention and support, to learn how we can better serve our teachers and our students. The grade level you work with does determine what I would be doing more, however. For example, at the high school level, my responsibilities consist more of making sure kids are on track for graduation and prepared for college, whereas in the middle school, we are more focused on getting kids on a good academic path. I'm a high school counselor. Definitely a big focus on making sure that students are on track for graduation requirements. But you need a counseling degree for the job. So it's nice to be able to use therapeutic skills when students need help getting through the day. People want to hear about the ducked up stories. And they happen. But it doesn't define my job very well. They can't talk right now. They are being shot at. I once had a student who was sexually trafficked walk into my office to tell me she wanted to commit suicide. I had to ask her to step outside for a few minutes because I had state testing materials in my office that needed to be locked up first and be kept secure. I was able to see her about 5 minutes later, and as she talked I couldn't give her the attention she needed because in the back of my mind I was thinking about all of the testing responsibilities I had to take care of. That's basically how every spring semester goes for me. I work as a student counselor in the Netherlands on a high school for middle-class education. Age 12-17. My work mainly consists of guiding students who struggle with behavioral problems, psychological problems, drug abuse, child protection in some cases, and basically anything you can think of that would be classified as a serious problem. My office is situated as a timeout zone for children that get removed from the classroom by the teacher. They get a note written by the teacher that tells me the reason of their removal, and they get work for the remaining time of the class in question. I usually talk about what happened and offer advice and issue the consequences of their actions as forms of detention or extra assignments, which I then communicate to the class's mentor. I also register the students who were absent without a proper reason during classes and call them out on why they were absent. Lastly, I just walk around the school in my downtime to speak to the students in an informal manner to ask them how they are doing at home or talk about their hobbies and such. Just making small talk to get a proper bond with the children so they know where to go when they are facing tougher times. As a counselor, I really feel like you should make rounds outside of your office to get yourself know to the students. I love my job, and seeing my students develop is amazing in such a small amount of time. Even though the job can be pretty rough at times. I've worked at a number of schools in different grade levels. Every school really is different as far as school counselor duties are concerned because admin will have different expectations of you regardless of your job description. This is where unions should come in but don't. I've run counseling small groups, classroom guidance lessons, taught sex ed, surprisingly fun, parent meetings. Parents do not understand what bullying really means. Planned career days, led assemblies, individual counseling, provided turkeys for Thanksgiving, and gifts around the holidays. It's a rewarding job in Mo and I preferred it by far to when I was a teacher. The worst part for me was handling discipline, which is not what a school counselor is supposed to do, but you end up doing it, especially in the elementary level where you are more or less used as an underpaid assistant principal. I also had to write numerous sexual harassment and bullying reports and had to make those tough calls home. I'm now at a teenage and adult level and I prefer it by far, even though I make less $. I am a school counselor in a low-income rural school. I do everything from wash students' clothes and provide them with a place to take a shower to sitting with them while they are interviewed by law enforcement and CPS. There is no average day for me. Some days I help groups of students figure out how to get along or how to just coexist with people they don't like. Basic coping skills that they are missing from home. Some days I am listening to a student tell me they are suicidal or harming themselves and have to make the calls to parents and other agencies to help them get the services they need. It can be an incredibly stressful and saddening job. But some days you get a win. No matter how small. It reminds you why you are there to begin with. Emotional band-aids. Serious issues arrive and we either have to file a CPS report, refer to outside agency, or contact parents. Dealt with variety of things. Cutters in 5th grade. Domestic abuse witnesses. Suicide outcries. These are not everyday occurrences, but frequent enough. For the most part, are not certified to deal with these hardcore issues. So there's the referral out. Daily basis it's guidance lessons on bullying, self-esteem, healthy living, respect, etc. Also students come in when they just need someone to talk to. A big part of my job is also identifying students who might need to be referred for special education or dyslexia assessments and processing the paperwork. Oh. And meeting with parents and teachers. That's a big part too. Helping teachers with discipline issues. Talking to parents about how to better help their child at home. Love the job. College and career readiness vs emotional support counselor. Making sure students are taking the courses they need to take. Ensuring they are on track for graduation. Help them with the college application process. Versus being there for the kids when they have questions about life or when things go wrong and they could use someone to talk to. Lot of the replies here are sour, but they need to understand it's a tough job. I don't envy the counselors at my school. It's tough to develop that one-on-one relationship with 600 kids. 5 counselors. School counselor here. When I actually get to be a school counselor, it's great. I get to talk to students about a wide variety of issues they are having. Help them resolve problems between themselves and with other adults and get to do class lessons on social and emotional issues. I also run small groups and do some school-wide PBIS things. I work at a very understaffed elementary school though, so my ability to do my job is hindered by the many additional tasks I was assigned to do that take my time away from the students. I'm making the move to high school next year but will miss being an elementary counselor. I'm a school social worker in California. Went to grad school for my MSW with an emphasis in schools my last year of the program. Had to get a pupil personnel credential as well. My job is great. I love working with the population and each day is somewhat different. Some of my duties include individual and group counseling, leading class workshops and assemblies, parent workshops, linkages to resources for families in need. I also respond to crises and conduct threat assessments and make CPS reports on occasion. I work with admin and teachers and suggest specific behavior interventions that might work best with specific students. I also track infraction and behavior data throughout the year in order to follow trends in student behavior and see how to make things better at our school. So many different jobs in one, which makes it so enjoyable. I would say at our campus, almost 50% of 5th graders have cell phones. Incidents involving cyberbullying and things of that nature increase every year. Couple of years back we had a student asking girls for booty pics on Messenger and posting pictures of joints. It's an interesting generation growing up with all this technological access this young.